Welcome to the Fuck Trauma podcast. Today's episode is such a treat because I am joined by the legend, Brad Yates. Brad has been a massive part of my own healing journey, and if you've ever typed EFT tapping into YouTube, chances are you've come across his work. He has created over 1,000 tapping videos helping people clear blocks around money, love, self-worth, and so much more. His work has reached millions for a reason. It's so powerful. EFT has been life-changing for me and my clients, but I'll be honest, when I first discovered it, I was skeptical. I thought, can tapping on my face really change my life? Spoiler alert, yes, it can. In this episode, Brad breaks down what EFT actually is, why it works, and how it can help you. Whether you're brand new to tapping or obsessed with it, you need to hear this episode. Let's dive in. Hi, Brad. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, my pleasure, Candace. Thanks for having me on.
I was listening to your interview this morning on the Girl Unfiltered podcast that I think you did a few months ago. And I was really blown away by how clearly and passionately you speak about EFT tapping. And I am super excited to have you here for that reason. I am a huge fan of your work and EFT tapping in general. I use it with my clients and I use it on myself daily. And I truly believe it is life-changing. But I have asked you here because I know not everybody realizes just how powerful this work is, this technique is. And it is my mission to change that. And there is no one better that can help me do that. So thank you. The first thing I just want to do is start at the beginning and say, could you tell me in your wonderful way of what EFT tapping actually is and why it's so effective?
Yeah, thank you. So EFT is short for Emotional Freedom Techniques, and a lot of us just call it tapping because it is literally a process of tapping with our fingertips, primarily on the face and torso. And for those of you who might be new to EFT, I know it looks a little strange. You wonder, why would we do that? Well, there's a very good reason why we do it. So it originally was discovered, a psychologist named Roger Callahan was working with a woman with a lifelong water phobia, and using traditional therapeutic techniques, had a very difficult time helping her. She, after a year and a half of working with him, and at 40 years old, she had already worked with a number of therapists. He could have her sitting near the swimming pool, looking away from the pool, but even that was difficult. But she could at least get that close. And he was broadening his horizons and learning about different things, and was taking a course in acupressure and kinesiology. And so one day thought, okay, well, let me ask you, on a physical level, what do you experience? And she said, well, when I think about water, I get a knot in my stomach. And he said, okay, well, the end point for the stomach meridian is right under the eye. Let's just see if we tap here, if that helps. Just tapped for a moment under her eye. And she said, it's gone. And he said, what's gone? She said, the fear. And she runs out of the house towards the swimming pool. And he's running after her, saying, wait, stop. She goes, it's okay. I know I don't know how to swim. But got down by the edge of the pool and was splashing water in her face. And she said, I feel fine. And naturally, Dr. Callahan thought that was very interesting. And so he started experimenting with different clients and found that he would tap different points in different sequences to deal with whatever was coming up for them: fear, anxiety, anger. And within a year, he put himself out of business because all of his weekly patients were like, I'm fine, see you, doc. So he started teaching this process. He called it thought field therapy. And then one of his first students was a gentleman named Gary Craig. And Gary had his degree in engineering from Stanford, and thinking like an engineer, he was looking at this process of, where you try to decide, okay, which points to tap in which sequence for which issue. And he said, well, okay, there's 8 points we're tapping. What if we just tap all of the points in a line from top to bottom? And found that he was getting the same great results of helping people resolve these emotions, these emotional difficulties. And called this new streamlined version EFT, Emotional Freedom Techniques. And so it's based on acupuncture. And for thousands of years in Chinese medicine, they've said there's a flow of energy through the body along these pathways that are called meridians. And when the energy is flowing naturally, we experience our natural state of health and well being, physically and emotionally. When this energy gets out of balance or disrupted or blocked, then we don't feel so good. And when we don't feel good, we don't make the best choices. And that has all kinds of unfortunate consequences for our lives. So in traditional Chinese medicine, the doctor sticks needles in these key points along these pathways to stimulate that healthy flow of energy. And we're just tapping with our fingertips to do that. And we have a growing body of scientific research validating the process, showing different changes that happen. It's calming down the nervous system, the stress system. So when we perceive threat, the amygdala in our brain puts us into fight or flight, sometimes in very subtle ways that we may not notice, but it does affect our behavior. Sometimes in very profound ways, where we really feel that anxiety. And so we see that the tapping calms down that. So we go into the fight or flight, which is the sympathetic nervous system, and the tapping expedites the parasympathetic nervous system, where our system is saying, okay, it's safe to calm down, and we can feel better in our bodies. And that, benefits so many areas of our lives.
Wow, I could listen to you speak about that for forever. That is so interesting. Um, it's for me, I know when I first started this using this tool, I was skeptical. Like, how could this really change my life? Like, really, it's just so simple but so incredible. Um, how did you first discover EFT tapping, and what made you fall in love with it?
Yeah. So I'd started as an actor. I had traveled the world doing theater. As I told you, I lived in London studying acting. And then after touring around for a bit, I went to Hollywood to be a movie star, as one does, and met a woman, fell in love, and got married. And when our first child was on the way, I thought I might need a backup career to support my family. So I saw an ad for hypnotherapy school and thought, oh, I've always been fascinated by the power of the mind. Let's do that. Started building a small practice while pursuing my acting career. And after a couple of years, when our second child was on the way, I realized that as much as I loved acting, personal development work was my calling. I was like, wow, this is what really fulfills me. So we left Los Angeles, moved to Northern California, and through some other hypnotherapists, I heard about this energy psychology conference going on in Las Vegas, and this guy Gary Craig is teaching this tapping technique. And during my time as an actor, I had attended Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Clown College. So this was not the strangest thing I'd ever done. So I might have been slightly more open-minded than the average person. So I was willing to play along. And what really sold me in that workshop was when Gary handed everybody a piece of chocolate and said, okay, on a scale of 0 to 10, how much do you want this chocolate? And I was a bit of a chocoholic at the time. So I'm like 8, 9. And we just tapped for a few minutes on, I really want that chocolate. It's going to taste so good. Yum, yum, yum. I want that chocolate. And then he said, okay, now check again. And I was like at a 0. And he said, take a bite of it. And I tried to take a bite of the chocolate. I could not eat it. It just tasted gross. I didn't know it at that time, but I wouldn't eat chocolate for 2 years after that. Now I recovered. I got better, so don't worry. But in that moment of being able to just look at it and say, wow, I love chocolate, and now I cannot. And it wasn't a matter of willpower or I'm just not going to eat sweet. I just didn't want it. It didn't look like food to me. So I'm like, wow, there's something to this. So after that conference, the next hypnotherapy session I was doing at the end, it's like, oh, we got 5 more minutes. I want to show you this new technique that I learned. And started doing more and more of that, and little by little, the tapping became my main modality.
Wow. Wow, chocolate. Who would have thought it? You said that you were always fascinated around mindset in general, and you felt pulled to this work. Was there anything perhaps before that drew you to that work, or was it just you just felt drawn?
Um, I had for a long time. Those of us of a certain age remember the Nightingale Conan cassette tapes. So I often listened to people like Jack Canfield, who I have then gone on to speak on his stage and become friends with. A lot of these personal development people. So I had always just found it very interesting, the idea of mindset and a success mindset. And during my time as an actor, listening to these programs and trying to cultivate that. And then when I learned EFT and I realized this whole thing of clearing out that the fear that comes up, the fear response when we try to make a change, because that was, and so I wrote a short book that I called the Joy of Success, or the Key to Success later, which I meant as a companion to all the other personal development books, because there's all these great ideas about success that I had listened to over and over, but I never knew how to address or even acknowledge that I had a fear of success. That there was something inside of me that would say, yes, no, that would be great. I'm going to do that tomorrow, or maybe the next day. And so not even recognize that resistance. So now I've come to believe that the extent to which we don't have what we say we want tends to be the extent to which we're resisting it. And that resistance is just based on fear, old programming about why we couldn't or shouldn't do things or be in certain situations. And certainly for those of us who struggle with anxiety, we have, it can be very heightened. And we can really intensely feel that for people who have experienced trauma in their lives. We have very hard lessons about what is safe and what is not safe. And in a sense that the world isn't safe. And so there's this, we all have ambient levels of stress, especially because we're all walking around with a cell phone that is constantly telling us what to be upset about. So it's hard to feel safe when you're constantly being reminded there's horrible things going on in the world. Even if it's all the way across on the other side of the world, you should be afraid and you should be worried about this. Or it's just a text message from someone in your family that something's going wrong. So we have a low level of stress, and you might call it anxiety most of the time. And then, for people with trauma, then there's the hypervigilance and this expectation. So we're carrying that. So I think it's great that you tap every day. I encourage people to tap on a daily basis, because to me, it's energy hygiene. We have physical hygiene, like brushing our teeth, taking a shower. Most of us do it before we recognize that we need it. We don't usually wait until someone's holding their nose around us. We go, I haven't taken a shower in 2 weeks. I should probably do that. We don't look at our teeth and say, I don't see anything green sticking out of there. I don't need to brush them yet. We try to stay ahead of that, but we don't do that with stress and anxiety. It builds up, it compounds until the point where we're experiencing some real uncomfortable emotions. And we think that it's just happened in that moment, but it's been compounding for a while. So to have some daily practice of calming down your nervous system and trying to be more relaxed is so profound.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think the problem is that our parents perhaps didn't know this stuff, and so they didn't teach us how to self-regulate, and they were not regulated themselves, is what I find, which is why we've been so imprinted. So this is why it's so important, the work that you do to spread that word of how nervous system regulation is so important. You mentioned about me doing it daily. Do you still tap daily?
First thing in the morning, every day. And for those of you who do know EFT, we always start off with a setup statement where we say, even though I have this issue, I choose to love and accept myself. Maybe even though I'm really angry right now, or even though I feel sick to my stomach right now, or even though I feel all this fear. So we start off with what some people would call a negative statement, which freaks some people out when I first introduce EFT. It's like, no, you have to focus on what's positive. Yeah, but what you resist persists. We're so programmed to default to that 4-letter F word. Fine, I'm fine. Oh yeah, obviously. I can read fine all over. So the setup statement is a statement of, even though I'm not fine right now, I choose to love and accept myself. So if you have only know that much about EFT, then you might say, Brad, you tap first thing in the morning? Wow, do you wake up in a bad mood every day? Even though I woke up on the wrong side of the bed again, I choose. No. You can tap silently. You can tap while saying affirmations. Uh, because especially, people use affirmations all the time. But the problem with that sometimes is that if you're stating something that's contrary to what you're actually experiencing, the words are coming out, but your body is feeling something else. They say that our conscious mind is about 5% of our mind, and the unconscious is 95. So if I'm consciously saying, I feel great, and the other 95% is saying, I feel like crap, that's the energy that my body is in. Which is why when we're, if we're trying to manifest things and looking at a vision board and saying, I feel so good about my private jet, it's like 5% is going, yes, yes, I'm so excited. But the energy that we're vibrating at is, who are you kidding? You don't have what it takes. You're not worth it. You don't deserve it. You're not smart enough. That's never going to happen. So the energy I'm putting out there is, it's never going to happen. So tapping while saying affirmations is great to clear any resistance. I might say prayers. There is some prayers that I'll say in the morning. And sometimes I'll just say, I choose to clear any resistance that might be there. Because as I said, the extent to which we don't have what we say we want is the extent to which we're resisting it. So I'm always looking at, okay, what else do I want to create in the world? Like sharing this mission, teaching people about this. And there may be a whole other level at which I might be able to be out there sharing this. And I'm just going to come from the standpoint of, if there's any resistance on my part, anything blocking me from reaching more people, I just want to clear that. I may not be consciously aware of it, but I just want to, I don't want to miss the opportunity to clear anything that might stop me from being able to be of as much service in the world.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And I know that you mentioned manifesting, and I always hear you talk about you create your reality, which I totally believe as well. On a personal note, when I was manifesting my partner, I did your love magnet tapping every day for a month, and I met him within that time. And I'm sure that's not a surprise to you. And it was wild. Have you seen similar stories in your life, or in, others that like have really stuck with you?
Yeah, the great thing about having a YouTube channel is I get to see comments from people telling stories like that, and that's so awesome to hear. Um, so on a daily basis, there's some comment where someone is saying, "Yeah, tapping really helped me overcome this." When I do live workshops like the one I recently did in London, it's so great because I get to meet people in person who come up and will tell me what a difference tapping has made for them, and the struggles that they were going through, and now life is easier, or maybe it's more manageable sometimes, and that's great, and sometimes it's like, my life is 180 degrees from where it was, and I'm now doing this and that. So yeah, on a regular basis, hearing stories from people. And yeah, for me, as someone who was chronically or at least underemployed for a very long time, to not doing a whole lot in the world, to then be at a place where I have a successful career that I love, where I get to be of service. And that's through years of clearing the resistance that I had, all these reasons why I couldn't or shouldn't, all the feelings of unworthiness, which to me is the number one issue that people face, is this feeling of not being worthy. And that certainly is behind a lot of the anxiety that people feel. And it's nonsense. It's my job, is to help people clear that nonsense. I don't know if folks can see it behind me. I have a picture of Michelangelo's David. And I have Davids all around my office, because Michelangelo said, the statue is already there, perfect, inside the marble. And all I have to do is chip away what doesn't belong to reveal the masterpiece inside. And that to me is the perfect metaphor for what we're doing with tapping. The best version of ourselves, the part of ourselves that is absolutely worthy and knows that we're worthy, the happiest, healthiest version of ourselves is there under all this excess marble. And that marble has been put there to protect us. You know, as you said, our parents didn't know any better. They stuck marble on to say, you need this to be safe in the world. Protect yourself. You know, don't get your hopes up. You know, don't be too big for your britches, whatever it might be. That was not done to punish us or hurt us. It was done to protect us. So we're these masterpieces covered in marble. And with the tapping, we can clear that away and recognize, no, I want to be the masterpiece that I was born to be and have that shared with the world.
I love that. And I couldn't agree more. I just couldn't agree more about worthiness. And I know that it helps so many people, including myself, to know that you have also struggled with those things, especially somebody that is so seen and successful. When you do this work, as much as you love doing it, you do have to get rid of a lot of stuff to be able to show up and do it. You know,
You gotta to put yourself out on YouTube and doing something that most people think is ridiculous does take a certain level of enhanced self-esteem to to not be crushed when people say you look like a stupid idiot. It's like, all right, that's okay, because I've cleared so much of that. I mean, as an actor, I loved being on stage, but as an actor, I was somebody else on stage. It wasn't me up there. And I really limited my success as an actor. I sabotaged myself left and right. You know, I always say that self-sabotage is simply misguided self-love. So when you sabotage yourself in different ways, rather than beating yourself up, because that's what we tend to do, it's like, oh, I'm so stupid for showing up late to that audition. I'm so stupid for not following up on that person that I met. I'm so stupid for, you know, ruining my diet by eating a box of cookies. Whatever it might be, instead of beating yourself up, recognize, okay, that self-sabotage was misguided self-love. There was something inside of me saying, this is going to protect you because it's not safe to be seen. It's not safe to be famous. It's not safe to be healthier. It's not safe to lose weight. It's not safe to feel more worthy about yourself. Because part of us does know that we are a magnificent child of the universe. You know, even for everyone watching this right now, whatever level of unworthiness you feel, part of you knows that you're worthy. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching this right now. You would have found something else to do. But part of you said, I need to hear this message, this reminder to start chipping away all that excess stuff, the guilt, the shame, the fear, the doubt, the unworthiness.
Yeah.
Because part of you knows that you are a gift to be shared with the world. So I sometimes say my job title is gift unwrapper. Just like Michelangelo was a gift unwrapper. The David is a gift that he unwrapped. So as we clear that out and recognize that, yeah, that we really are that awesome. And it's not a conceited thing. It's not a matter of, because when we recognize that, when we allow ourselves to feel self-love, we see how worthy others are of love. Arrogance is saying, I'm better than others. It's like, no, it's me recognizing that like everybody else, I'm awesome. And then you can see that that level of self-love is a win-win situation. It's a gift to others as well, because if I can release the masterpiece inside of me, then I can help you release the masterpiece that's inside of you, and the world is better for it. So yeah, so that was years of tapping. I'd been tapping for 7 years before I got on YouTube. So I had been able to clear some things. I think I manifested YouTube. It's like, okay, I've been tapping for 7 years. I'm ready to be seen. Somebody needs to create this platform where I can put videos out. And when I first did it, it's like, YouTube was pretty new, and I thought, hey, wouldn't it be really cool if there was a YouTube video that people could start their day with, and I'll call it Tap of the Morning. And that was all I intended to do. I didn't even know how to upload it. I had a friend upload the video for me, and it's like, okay, now I'm done. And it was 6 months later when I thought, there should be something to end the day with, and I'll call that Tap of the Evening. And then I'm done. And then I had another idea and another idea. Now I have, 1,600 videos out.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. What I love about all your videos, and I'm sure anyone that's seen them, is how genuine and authentic you are and how it just comes from your heart is what it feels like to me. And I think as I get older, I realize the most important thing we can do is just show up and be our authentic selves, and the rest will kind of fall into place. Okay, so you spoke about your body of work, which is epic. Is there a subject that you tend to like find yourself coming back to quite a lot? Because I know you go from money to love to self-worth to everything. Is there something you're really passionate about? And you might have already answered this, so I might kind of already know the
Yeah.
answer.
Well, some years ago, it hit me one day. My job is just to teach people how to love themselves. And that's really at the core of it. Uh, as I said, I think feeling unworthy is the biggest thing humans face. And it's the root of so many things. It's at the root of so much of our anxiety. It's at the root of our procrastination. So that's one of the main things is self-love, clearing feelings of unworthiness. And I do love doing money programs. I'm doing another money program right now. And here's the reason why I love tapping on money issues. Because I believe everyone has gifts and talents to share with the world. And a fear of money, resistance to money, because of belief that money is the root of all evil or whatever it might be, stops people from sharing their gifts. Because internally we're saying, if I share my gifts in a bigger way, I'll have more of that money that is so wrong and bad, and either will make me a bad person or will lead to all kinds of problems and it'll make friends jealous. So I better not be that successful. And we rob the world of our gifts and talents. And that's what I won't stand for. It's not about I'm one of these prosperity people. It's like everybody should be rich and everyone should have a private. I don't care about that. It's not about that. I just don't want a block to money to be the reason that anyone withholds their gifts. Greed is not about wanting money for the good it can do. Greed is about a fear around money and a need to have more money to prove that you're better than other people. And so greed drives us to get money in unhealthy ways, harming people, exploiting people, cheating people, as opposed to, I love what money can do. I love all the opportunities that it creates, and for myself and others. And I choose to make money in an ethical way, being of service, in genuine service to people. So all of the bad things that we think about money are not about money itself, because money is just a means of exchange. It's about how people misuse it and other people's unfortunate beliefs about it, and all that stuff. So money gets a bad rap because of all of these misunderstandings about it. So as we clear that out, it's like, wow, I'd rather be one of those rich people who's doing a lot of good with it so that I can be a role model for other people, because poverty doesn't solve anything. And we can say, oh, I see this rich person doing these terrible things, so I'm going to not have money. But you can see poor people doing terrible things too, and you don't say, well, I better have money because poverty obviously makes that person bad. Our bad behavior comes from fear. Ultimately, we can say it comes down to there's fear and there's love. What doesn't feel like love is fear. So any bad behavior, any harmful behavior towards ourselves or anyone has fear underneath it. All of the uncomfortable emotions. I don't believe there are negative emotions. There are uncomfortable emotions. Those are designed to protect us, to let us know there's something to address. But all of the feelings like anger and sadness and things like that all have some level of fear underneath. And that fear expresses as stress and anxiety in our body. So to have a very simple tool for being able to deal with that and calm that down and go, all right, let me look at this. So it's like having a smoke detector in your house. When it goes off, we don't say, oh, that's a bad thing, I should rip it off the wall, I shouldn't have that. It's like, no, it's there to let me know, one, there's a fire that I need to go and put out, or there may be a misunderstanding. Maybe the battery needs to be changed. Maybe there's no fire. So with if we get really angry, it may be, okay, there's an injustice that needs to be dealt with, or I may have misunderstood something that someone said. But if I just blow up, I'm not dealing with it effectively. So I want to process the emotion. Say, okay, what's going on here? What needs to be addressed? Is there something some action I need to take? Or did I totally misunderstand what happened there? Maybe I need to have a conversation with this person. And I might find out they'll say, oh my God, no, that's not what I meant at all. Oh, I'm so sorry that you heard that. Or they may be going through something and they may recognize, wow, no, I really did do something wrong. I'm sorry about that. So we then get to a place where we can actually address the issue rather than drowning it out. Sometimes when we get into an angry place, it's like the smoke detector is going off, the alarm is going off, and we just grab some pots and pans, start banging them together and try to drown out the sound. It's like, yeah, that doesn't solve the problem. So we want to, so tapping isn't about getting rid of uncomfortable emotions. It's about processing them so we can see what needs to be addressed. For me to get from here to there, where I really want to be, I want to address that. And so that's why, in terms of like manifestation, looking at it, as I said, look at the vision board, and we look at that, and that's 5% of our mind saying it would be so awesome to have that money, and 95% going, money is the root of all evil, and everybody would hate you. So it's fine that you're fantasizing about that, but don't worry, we're going to make sure it doesn't happen. And so we find ourselves not taking the actions, not showing up to the interview, not calling people back, not taking care of our health, do all these different things. And it's not that we're bad or stupid or lazy. We're not lazy. In our mind, it doesn't feel safe to achieve that. It doesn't feel safe to take those actions and move forward. So we want to take the time and go, okay, what's going on there? Maybe that's what we should do right now. Maybe it's time for us to go through this and clear some stuff.
My audience tends to struggle in particular around anxiety and love. How can EFT help someone who feels dysregulated and stuck in anxious thought loops around love and dating?
Yeah. So as we tap and we calm down the nervous system, that can benefit us in pretty much any area. So it's recognizing, all right, if I'm feeling this, there's some part of me that feels threatened, that doesn't feel safe. And unfortunately, the more stressed we are, the more we go into our reptilian brain, and our prefrontal cortex, where we make our best choices, goes offline. So the more anxious we get, the less clearly we think. And then we tend to be even more afraid and think less clearly. So we want to stop that loop. So one of the great things about tapping is you don't have to say anything. I mean, we have a process of saying, even though I'm feeling this anxiety. But if you're not able to formulate those words, you can just start tapping. You could even just start tapping one point. I'll often just tap the collarbone point right here, because this is kidney 27. It's related to fear. And since fear is underneath everything, then sometimes I would say, I'm just going to tap right here and try to process whatever fears might be going on, and allow myself to downregulate that stress and be in a position to look at, why am I feeling anxious right here? What am I afraid is going to happen? Because we're not consciously, at least rarely, consciously aware of what the anxiety is about. Oh, in relation to this person, I'm now feeling this anxiety because it is triggering the emotion that I felt when my mom walked out of the family when I was 3 years old, and all the so we're just feeling that, and then we can't think clearly. So we want to be able to just start to breathe, say, okay, what's going on here? Because my response right now may have nothing to do with what's actually going on here. And I am, and I'm uh, projecting all kinds of things onto my partner or my would-be partner or my ex-partner that may have nothing to do with them. And my response to what they're saying or doing or being or not saying is is a game that I'm playing inside my head. And even if it is what they're saying, my response to it is still a game that's going on inside of my head. Because we could get to a place where someone is saying something unkind and we could say, you know what, I deserve better than this. And this is not the person. And be clearing my fear of, but you can't give this person up because there's no one else in the world who's ever going to love you. And I'm telling myself this story about why I should put up with really awful behavior or why I should believe that it's my fault. Because I know this person is kind to everyone else on the planet. It's just me that they're doing it to, so it must be me. And I know I because as an actor, I use voices. So when I use that kind of mocking voice, please not hear that as if you had that response, oh, Brad's mocking me. No, I'm finding the humor in us as human beings because I do this too, and it's being able to say, this is how we behave. And it's,
Mhm.
again, not that we're bad or stupid or weak or lazy. We have learned over time that this is the most appropriate way or the safest way based on my experience. And it doesn't feel safe I don't feel safe in this situation. And so I'm looking for ways to protect myself, even if that means, burning bridges and blowing things up and and pushing someone away, because part of me might be saying it would be devastating if I pushed them away, but at least I'll be safer then. I would be safer on my own. And so allowing ourselves to say, wow, thank you so much, all of you inside, thank you all for just trying so hard to keep me safe in a situation that feels dangerous right now, even if it's not dangerous right now. It may be that there's no fire, I just need to change the batteries in the smoke detector. But thank you for alerting me. And it allows us to get back to a place where we can think things through in a more effective way. So for anyone who has never done tapping before, let me show you the basic version of EFT.
Yeah.
And we start off by saying, what is bothering me right now? And it may be, I'm just feeling a lot of anxiety right now. And I rate that on a scale of 0 to 10. Oh, it's like an 8. And if I can acknowledge what the physical symptom is, how do I know it's an 8? Oh, well, my heart is racing, or my breathing is really shallow, or I get tension in my shoulders, whatever it might be. So I'm aware of what's showing up for me right now. I'm feeling anxious. I feel it in my chest, whatever it might be. So then we would take the fingertips of our index and middle finger and gently tapping on the side of your opposite hand, we'd say, even though I feel anxious, or even though I feel this anxiety, I choose to love and accept myself anyway. And again, as I was saying earlier, it's just stating, even though I'm not feeling fine in the moment, I still choose to love and accept myself. In the original version of EFT, it was, I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
Mhm.
But for people who have low self-worth, saying, I deeply and completely love and accept myself feels like an outright lie. And it's like, why am I even doing this? I'm lying to myself right now. So I like to use the word, I choose to love and accept myself. So I'm not asserting that I love myself right now, but I'm also not saying that I don't. It just kind of creates this buffer. And so we repeat that 3 times, even though I feel this, I choose to love and accept myself. And, the phrase is whatever it might be. So this anxiety that I feel, this anger that I feel at Bob for being such a jerk, this nervousness about this report that I have to turn in at work tomorrow. Or it could just be, even though I feel my heart racing. So we can rather than coming up with words about the situation, we can just talk about what we're feeling right there. So even though I'm feeling this, I choose to love and accept myself. Say that 3 times, and then we'll go through these points, and we'll tap each of these points generally between 5 and 10 times. It's not an exact number. Don't keep count. I'll go, okay, 1, 2, 3. Just be tapping gently on each of these points while you repeat the reminder phrase. So this anxiety, this nervousness in my chest, whatever it might be. So right at the beginning of the eyebrow on either side there. Then we follow the eyebrow out to the corner of your eye, so right there at the side of your eye, and gently tapping there. This anxiety. Right under the middle of your eye, just above your cheek, this anxiety. Right under your nose, just above your upper lip, this anxiety. Right below your lower lip, just above your chin, this anxiety. Right here where your collarbones just about come together, there's a little bit of a U shape at the base of your throat, and the point is on either side there. You can tap with all of your fingertips or even make a fist, and then you're getting both of those collarbone points. This anxiety. Next point is about 4 inches below your armpit. So it's right about bra strap level, and I'm sure even any guys watching this can figure out where that is. This anxiety. And find the top of your head. So just tapping with all of your finger tips around the crown of your head. This anxiety. And you take a deep breath. And then you check in again and say, okay, if the anxiety was at an 8 before, what does it feel like now? There are times where it'll go from an 8 to a 0 like that. Doesn't usually happen that way, but it can happen that way. Sometimes it'll go from an 8 to a 7.75. But in terms of how our body's feeling, even any little progress like that is beneficial. And what also often happens is when we're tapping, it's like peeling layers of the onion. So we might be saying, this anxiety, this anxiety. Oh my goodness. This is about something that happened when I was in the 3rd grade. This thing that happened in the 3rd grade, this thing that happened in the 3rd grade. And I can start to clear out anxiety that I've been holding in my body for decades. I can start to clear out trauma that's been hanging in my body for decades. As one of the foremost trauma experts, Dr. Bessa van der Kolk, wrote a book called The Body Keeps the Score. So it's in our body. That's why, sometimes talk therapy isn't going to do it, because we're not taking it to the body where we're holding on to it. And the tapping helps us calm down and feel more safe so that we can actually start to unpack some of that stuff that has been frozen in our bodies and start to release it. And so we can clear up all kinds of old things as we go through. So that's the very basic version. You just go through these 8 points while repeating what the statement is. And just knowing that, you can use it on your own. And again, you can tap silently. You can tap one point. You don't have to go through all the different points. And if you're, tapping through the points and you think, oh, I just need to hang out here on this point for a while. Just trust your gut on that. Don't feel like, okay, I've already tapped there 10 times. Now I have to move on to the next point. It's a very forgiving process. But any tapping that you're going to do is going to start to downregulate that stress. We have, as I said, there's a lot of scientific research showing this, showing cortisol levels. Cortisol is one of the main stress hormones, seeing a drop in cortisol levels. We have fMRI studies where you can see a brain scan, seeing where the brain activity is and seeing that normalize and calm down. So any tapping you're doing, even if you don't necessarily notice something happening, the research shows that something is happening. It may be too subtle to be consciously aware of, but any tapping that you're doing is beneficial. So, don't say, well, I'm not feeling anything, so I'm going to stop. Sometimes tapping is like a painkiller, and, you take it, and within a short while, the pain is reduced. Sometimes it's like a vitamin. We know that vitamins over time have benefits, but no one ever takes a vitamin and says, yes, I feel so good after taking It's it's not a something we consciously are aware of, but the research shows that it's beneficial. So just recognizing that tapping works in both those ways. I will get comments from people saying, I used to tap all the time and I know it works, and then I stopped and I don't know why. And I said, because you know it works. And part of you says, if I keep this up, I'm going to be so far outside my comfort zone. I need to knock this off, and I'll find excuses for not tapping. We self-sabotage is misguided self-love. We stop ourselves from doing something that's going to change our lives. So, so let's do a little bit more, a little bit longer round, sort of the way that I do it, where it's a more intuitive process. So I have no idea what I'm going to say at this point. It'll just come to me in the moment as we look at that anxiety in love. Yeah. So we'll do some tapping about this anxiety that comes up in love or with anything. And one of the great things about tapping is what we call borrowing benefits. So you can be tapping along with someone else on an issue that isn't yours, but you'll still be getting benefits. So even though the words that I say may not fit your situation, while you're tapping, your mind will say, okay, but I can make an association to something else, and your body will be regulating, that's down regulating the stress. So what I'd like folks to do is go ahead and close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and hold it, and let it go. And now, just breathing comfortably with your eyes closed, go ahead and feel your feet on the floor or whatever part of you is connected to something. Allow yourself to feel that connection. Allow yourself to feel centered and grounded. Allowing yourself to be right here, right now, as present as possible, so as to receive maximum benefit from this process. And just following your breath through your body, just allow yourself to be aware of what's going on in there. Noticing what you're feeling physically and what you're feeling emotionally. And allow yourself to be aware of any anxiety that you might be feeling at the moment. And it may be anxiety about a love relationship. It might be anxiety about self-love. And it might be anxiety about anything that's going on in your life. Just allow yourself to be aware of how it shows up in your body. Notice on a scale of 0 to 10 how strong it might be. Allow yourself to be aware of any thoughts, beliefs, or memories that might come up as to why this anxiety is appropriate or necessary. And take a deep breath, open your eyes, and just tap where I tap and repeat back what I say. And if at any point I say something, you say, I don't want to repeat that, that's fine. Don't worry about that. I will say, don't worry about saying things that aren't true, because it's not going to be, we'll say, oh, I shouldn't say things because I don't want to manifest that. This is a cleaning process. So, if you spill orange juice on your kitchen counter and you get a rag and you're wiping it up, but you're saying coffee, it's not like, oh, now I'm saying coffee. So instead of cleaning up the orange juice, now I'm going to create coffee on my countertop. It's like, no, you're going to be cleaning up whatever's there, no matter what words you're saying. So you won't be taking it on. However, that being said, feel free to not repeat back anything that I say, but just be tapping, and you'll be clearing up whatever's there. So even though I might be feeling some anxiety, I choose to love and accept myself. Even though I might be feeling some anxiety, I choose to love and honor myself. Even though I might be feeling some anxiety, it might be in a certain relationship. It might be about other things too. It might be about something in my present. Probably has to do with something in my past. And even though I might be feeling some anxiety, I choose to deeply and completely love, honor, and accept myself, and maybe anyone else who might be involved in this, because I choose to feel that free. Now I'll tap through the point. And just quick note, I always tap with my right hand. You can tap with either hand or both hands at the same time, whatever feels comfortable for you. All this anxiety, all this anxiety, all this anxiety that I might be feeling might be just a little bit. It might feel like a lot. It might be about something going on in my present. Probably has some of it from the past, but it's right now that I'm feeling it. It's here in my body right now. And I'm allowing myself to process that. Releasing as much of it as I can. But the reason I'm feeling some anxiety is because part of me says I need it. Part of me is saying to me, we are not safe right now. There is a threat right now, physically and or emotionally. I feel like I'm in danger. And I choose to love and appreciate those parts of me that are making me so freaking uncomfortable as a way of trying to protect me. This anxiety sucks. But part of me says it beats the alternative. Better to feel anxious than to get into worse trouble. So I love and appreciate those parts of me that are just trying to protect me. And I'm allowing myself to calm down a bit and look at what I'm afraid of. What am I afraid would happen if I wasn't anxious? What am I afraid that I would do if I wasn't anxious? What decisions would I make? And what consequences am I afraid would happen? And is that real? And maybe it happened in the past, but I'm not the same person I was in the past. Things might actually be different this time. I'm allowing myself to think more clearly. And the more I allow myself to feel peace, the more clearly I can think. The better the choices I can make. The better the outcomes I can create. So I'm giving myself permission to relax. I'm releasing these fears, releasing them at a cellular level, releasing them all the way back through my past, back through all those times in my life where I somehow got hurt and I made certain decisions in order to protect myself. And some of those were based on misunderstandings. And I forgive myself for that. And I'm setting myself free because I'm worthy and deserving of that. Allowing myself to remember the truth. I am a magnificent child of the universe. I am worthy and deserving of the best this world has to offer. I am worthy and deserving of love and respect from myself and others. And I'm clearing any doubts about that. Those doubts are based on misunderstanding. Letting them go now so that I can make more loving choices for myself and others. Allowing myself to feel more peace and love in body, mind, and spirit. Take a deep breath. Close your eyes, go inside, and check in with how you feel physically and emotionally. And if there had been some anxiety you're aware of and you had put a number to it, see if that number has changed. Hopefully that number has come down. And it may be that you, again, peeling the layers of the onion, you may have more awareness of, oh, here's what I need to do in order to feel greater freedom. And then you can continue tapping on those things that might have come up.
Wow, that was beautiful. I feel so honored that we've just had our own personal tapping. All those times that I was watching you on YouTube and here you are, I feel like I manifested this. So thank you so much.
Well, you did. We manifest everything that shows up in our lives.
Totally agree. And it's so fair. I have so
Everybody watching us manifested this. I manifested this.
totally. I have so many clients and people in my life that I tell all about you. And so this is just, yeah, an incredible moment. So thank you so much. And I know that my audience would have loved that too. Just before we wrap up, I just have one question. What is one thing you want everyone listening to walk away believing about themselves today?
Well, what I just said in that tapping round, you are a magnificent child of the universe, worthy and deserving of the best this world has to offer, including love and respect. And there is nothing that is too good for you. You are awesome, not perfect, but awesome. And the more you recognize that, the more you'll be able to see it in other people and help them see it. And the world becomes a much better place. Please and thank you.
Thank you so much. I will leave your link to your YouTube channel absolutely in this bio because I want everyone to experience even more of your work. But is there anything else we need to know about how they can experience any more of your work at all?
Yeah, there's a free 5-day program called Tap Into Your Best Self that is designed to help you improve your self-esteem and or rather uncover the self-esteem that's already there.
I love that. I am going to find that, and I'm going to leave that in the link as well, to make sure that
Thank you.
people do it. Thank you so much for sharing your gifts with the world. You are helping so many people, and thank you so much for being with us today and sharing with us.
Thank you, Candace. Thank you for the great work that you're doing, and thank you for this opportunity to share this. And thank you, everyone watching.